what's going on today? So, we got some breaking news today out of Games Workshop, and this one's pretty big. I know it's not Horus Heresy, it is Age of Sigmar, but a lot of us play many Games Workshop games. So, Games Workshop today announced on April 4th that they're going to be getting rid of a whole bunch of models for Age of Sigmar. And here's the date, April 4th, 2024. And I'll put a link in the description for the Warhammer community article so you can read this for yourself, because it's a lot of stuff, it's a lot of information, but we'll go over this in detail as to kind of what their plans is. Now, a lot of these is really surprising because a lot of the models are not even 10 years old. And some of these, you could argue that the writing was on the wall for them because of Warhammer the Old World coming out. And some of the ranges are going to be going to that. And they're going to be staying there. Some are getting updated, but there are some that are just very, very surprising to me. And to a lot of other people. But we'll go over these in detail to see what they're planning to get rid of. So, the article reads, with the latest edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar on the horizon, and the news that every single war scroll in the game has been assessed and balanced, it is a sad but necessary truth that certain miniatures are leaving the range. Every Citadel miniature is a unique piece in the ever-evolving narrative of Warhammer. Unfortunately, we can't continue to sell and support every model we've ever made indefinitely, which is true. Some of the ranges are actually kind of overbloated, and it's easy to see why they would want to get rid of some of those. As we make new models and new books to explore their background and rules, we have to stop producing and featuring some older models. But just like many of you, we still treasure our collections of older miniatures, and we still want to be able to use them in games and forge glorious tales of heroism and adventure on the tabletop. And I'm one of those people. I have a large Stormcast army, and a lot of those models are going to be going away. And we'll go over that. I am a little bit disappointed by that, but that's just life. In the article, you have some artwork, some pretty awesome artwork. 2 factions, Beast of Chaos and Bone Splitters, as well as a number of older Stormcast Eternals from the Sacrosanct and Warrior Chambers, will be receiving free-to-download digital battle tomes. So, right off the rip, we're losing 2 factions, as well as an entire Stormcast chamber. The Sacrosanct, which is the casters. And as far as the Warrior Chamber, those are actually going to be getting updated. I believe it was like Warhammer Fantasy Battles 3. There's a video game a while back, like in the summertime last year, where they teased a new Liberator with the new armor. And that's what they're getting updated to. So, spoilers, Liberators are one of those that are getting nuked, basically, because they're getting updated. These will feature new background and rules, and will be considered legal for use in competitive play until summer 2025. So, after summer 2025, they're not going to be able to be used in Games Workshop sanctioned tournaments. So, just kind of keep that in mind. At least they're giving us a year for that. At this point, they will move over to Warhammer Legends and will no longer be supported for competitive play. We encourage you to continue using your collection for casual play, and we will continue to support this content with rules and balance updates as needed throughout the edition. I mean, that's not really hopeful, but, this is what it is. And that's another one that they're going to be getting rid of. Additionally, a number of older Warcry and Warhammer Underworld's warbands for the Slaves to Darkness will go off sale and enter Legends. Many more Underworld's warbands will remain on sale and will be supported only by digital Legends War Scrolls in the next edition. A handful of units, mostly those using older resin miniatures, will also be retired from the range and will move over to Warhammer Legends, which makes sense because Games Workshop is moving everything over to plastic now. And there's not really a whole lot of Finecast left, which is fine because Finecast was just a horrible product to begin with. And I'm glad that they're finally phasing that out permanently. So moving on to the ranges that they're going to be getting rid of. Stormcast Eternals. We begin with Sigmar's finest, the Stormcast Eternals, who have one of the largest miniature ranges in Warhammer history. This is true. Like, I would argue that they are overbloated. And to be honest, I hope that they get the Space Marine treatment where the Space Marines are a large range, but they're split into chapters. So I'm hoping that they do that for the Stormcast Eternals because they were just getting too big. And for somebody like me that likes to collect everything, like, it was really hard. With so many war scrolls, often for troops who have similar fighting styles, certain units are returning to the distant halls of Azer. These include the entire Sacrosanct Chamber, who have decided to work on the cure for the curse of reforging from their workshops in the realm of heavens. So basically, all the casters, those are all going away, which is really surprising because that range is not more than 6 years old. And a lot of those are just beautiful models, but also some of those didn't really make any sense to me, like the evocators on the Dracolines. It was cavalry with casters, and that just kind of felt weird. They are being joined by numerous heroes, as well as some of the most venerable fighters amongst the Storm host. The older Liberators, plus Judicators, Paladins, and Prosecutors. Certain named characters have been fighting the war against Chaos since the dawn of the Age of Sigmar, and have also drawn back from the front lines. And we're going to go over all the miniatures that they're getting rid of. So we got the Celestar Ballista, the Evocators on Dracolines, which was honestly a weird unit. Evocators, Secators, which is the entire Sacrosanct Chamber, and that's all the casters are going to be gone. The Knight Heraldor, I have opinions on the way that one looks, but I'm not going to say that here, because I don't want to make this too much of a negative channel. There's already enough negative stuff out there. But anyway, moving on. The Knight Vexillor, Lord Castellant, Lord Celestant, Lord Veritant, Lord Ordinator, Lord Exorcist, Knight Azyros. The Paladins, which you can build 3 different versions of, is the Decimators, Protectors, and Retributors. So those are all going away. Those were from the early first edition of Age of Sigmar. Judicators, this model of Liberator, and the Liberators are actually getting updated to have the new, I believe it's called Thunderstrike armor. So they're going to be more sleeker in the rounded shields. Kind of like the Vindictors from the last edition of Age of Sigmar. So they're going to look more similar to that. Prosecutors, Gabriel Surhart, which, again, I'm disappointed in because he looks like Tommy Wiseau. And I wanted to run that in my army, but that's fine. Vorus Starstrike, Castigators with Griffhounds, Astrea Soulbright, Aventus Firestrike, so we're losing that beast. Masters of the Sacrosanct, and the Errant Quester. So that's a total of 23 units that we're losing for the Stormcast Eternals. It's a lot. It says, soon after the release of the new edition, a battle tome containing most of these war scrolls will be made available to download for free on Warhammer Community, representing those warriors who are simply too devoted to their cause to return to Azer. Skaven. Now, the Skaven, I have thoughts on. The Skaven is an old range and hasn't really gotten anything new since Age of Sigmar dropped and Warhammer Fantasy Battles was, they did the whole End Times thing way back in the day. So Skaven really didn't get anything new. And I'm glad that they're finally getting some love now. So Skaven are going to be strictly an Age of Sigmar faction. I don't think they're going to be going to the old world. I could be wrong with that. But I haven't really seen any support for them in the old world. So they're going to be Age of Sigmar thing. And a lot of their models that are going away are going to be getting updated. And they need it bad. The Instigators of the Vermin Doom are also losing a number of old miniatures, many of which will be replaced with fantastic new ones in due course. But with this radicalism still unfolding, none but the Greyseers can predict where these replacements will fall. It's safe to say that the Skavens still have plenty of tricks left up their ragged sleeves. Makes sense? The clan rats, which are the main battle line, they're getting updated. The Scryer Acolytes, Warp Fire Thrower, Rattling Gun, Gutter Runners, Rat Swarms, Master Molder, Arch Warlock, Warp Grinder, Warlock Engineers, Rat Ogres and Giant Rats, Storm Vermin, Plague Priest, Warp Block Jezzail's Doomflayer, and Plague Sensor Bearers, so a total of 16 models. Any unit that doesn't receive an updated War Scroll when Battle Tome Haven drops will receive a Legends War Scroll. So, there's that to look forward to, but there's also a whole new range to look forward to for Skaven, so at least there's that. Bone Splitters, we're losing that entire faction. Like, just right off the rip, that one's going to be gone. From the armored bulk of the Iron Jaws to the lanky cunning of the Cruel Boys, the Orc war clans are as diverse as they are vicious. However, the Bone Splitters sub-faction is also leaving the range. They will receive Battle Tome Bone Splitters as a free download. You have the Savage Orc Boys, Savage Orc War Boys, Maniac Weird Nub, Savage Orc Wardock, Warog Prophet, Savage Orc Big Boss, and Head Krakas Mad Bob. So, losing all those. Slaves to Darkness is another one that they're losing a lot of things. With the arrival of the Dark Oath, the Slaves to Darkness have finally found their definitive mortal followers. This means that a number of warbands representing the wider worshippers of chaos in the mortal realms will be retiring from the spotlight and the reigns. This mostly involves warbands from the previous edition of Warcry, as well as Kagras Ravagers from Warhammer Underworlds, but they'll all get Legends War Scrolls. So we have the Horns of Hashut, Tarantulas Brood, the Splintered Fang, the Unmade, the Corvus Cabal, the Cypher Lords, Scions of the Flame, the Iron Golems, Spire Tyrants, Untamed Beasts, and Kagras Ravagers. So we're losing those. Let's note that the Chaos Legionnaires and the Dark Host Savagers both remain. They are still very much in our Chaos plans. So we'll still get to keep those. Beasts of Chaos. Now this one, we all knew was coming because they're going to be an old world faction. They're going to be strictly that. That's where Beastmen are going to go. So if you still want to play Beastmen, that's where they'll go. So my belief, and this is totally speculation, is that they're going to be getting rid of these for the Age of Sigmar to repackage to use in the old world. Because they've done that in the past before. They actually did it when Age of Sigmar first came out and Warhammer Fantasy Battles was End Times. They pulled a whole bunch of stuff off the shelf to repackage for Age of Sigmar. The Beasts of Chaos are leaving Warhammer Age of Sigmar, but they'll be back in the future, or rather the past. Yes, the Beastmen are returning to their old feeding grounds in the old world of Legend and Warhammer the Old World. That's going to be Vanguard Beast of Chaos, so they're getting rid of that box. Beast of Chaos Beast Lord, the Ungors, Bestigors, Herdstone, and the spells for them. Gores, Bulgors, Warhounds, Dragon Ogres, Cygor Gorgon, Beast Lord, Centaurs, a Tuskor Chariot, Jabberslythe, Doombull, Cockatrice, Shaggoth, basically all those guys. Not every Beastman is existing in the mortal realms, or exiting the mortal realms. Zangors and Slangors will remain amongst the followers of their patron deities, but the wild great phrase following Chaos Undivided will soon be repackaged and returned to terrorize the forest of the old world. So yeah, it actually says right there, they're going to be repackaged. So you'll still be able to buy them. And then these are just some odds and ends that they're also getting rid of. The Sylvaneth Branch Wraith, the Saurus Eternity Warden, Valkyria the Bloody, Scylla Anfingrim, Madcap Shaman, Big Boss Han Gigantic Spider, and the Mistweaver Sai. So, yeah, just a lot of stuff they're getting rid of. And it's a big hit for a lot of people. And certainly to me, because, again, I have a large Stormcast army that is old, and I'm going to have to replace all of them. Because they're not going to be around anymore. And it is a bummer for a lot of people. But I'm also looking forward to see what they do next. I'm hoping, as far as the Stormcast Eternals goes, and I said this before, but I'm hoping they get the Space Marine treatment. And what I mean by that is that the Space Marines have a huge range, but they also have chapters. So, like, Space Wolves are different than Ultramarines, for example. And they have their own separate ranges. And I'm hoping that they do that for the Stormcast Eternal Chambers, where if you still want to get a whole army of Stormcast casters, you'll be able to get those. And I'm hoping they bring those back at some point. And who knows, that might be what they do. But we'll just see what the future brings. It's not really a time to really burn your armies, though, so don't do that. It really doesn't solve anything. And I know it is kind of hard to stay positive on this one, but let's just be cautiously optimistic about the new edition and see what it brings. But as any other day, happy painting, happy gaming, and I hope to see you all on the next one.